This is Jablam Hockey with your hosts, Peter Bojarinoff and Paul Swinbeck. Welcome to Jablam Hockey, folks. I'm your host, Peter Bojarinoff. You can find me on Twitter at Russian98, and I'm with
Paul Zwambag. You can follow me on Twitter at Zwambag, ZWAMBAG. How's it going, everybody? Peter, what's up?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling a lot better. First and foremost, Paul, we hit 18 billion retweets with our most recent article. Didn't you see that?
Yeah, that was amazing. We went viral immediately.
Yeah. I think we had more retweets and basically technically votes compared to what happened last 3 All-Star games.
So Jablam Hockey broke the internet.
Yeah, it did.
Nice.
Or there was a glitch on Twitter, and it was only like a couple retweets, and somehow it looked like 18 billion. Go check it out. It's on at Jablam Hockey, and my Twitter account as well, at Russian98. I posted the picture. It's crazy. I don't know how that happened, but it's hilarious. Okay, so you can also find us with our new website, jablamhockey.com. This episode and all of our last episodes, all our old Team ISOs, they're all on there. We've got other stuff coming. Me and Paul will start blogging once a week. That's also coming there next week. So check that out. And always remember to subscribe, rate, and review us. We're on iTunes. And we have all our episodes right on our website. So check that out. What we've got in this episode, we're going to be Team ISOing the Red Wings, Detroit Red Wings. We'll be doing that first. And later on in the episode, we'll be Team ISOing also the San Jose Sharks. Double Team ISO today. We're also going to be talking, is this the worst Maple Leaf team of all time? We'll talk about that. And we also have Fantasy Up and Down and Saturday's Picks. But what's trending right now, Paul? Did you see it? The PK Subban injury?
I did. I was watching the game. I was following it pretty closely, and yeah, it looked less harmless than what it looked like when he was being stretchered off. It was not fun to watch. It was not fun to watch him be stretchered off. He did not look good.
Yeah, a lot of people are already not big fans of Emelin. Even some Habs fans, if they think he does deliver some dirty hits sometimes, maybe. This is totally random.
Yeah, you can't put this on Emelin whatsoever.
Yeah, Subban was going to hit the player. He slipped a bit. He was on his hands and knees, basically. Emelin just goes in for support a bit, and all he does is bump and graze him off his backside with Subban's head. So, I don't know. Maybe it's a concussion. It looked more like maybe a neck injury. It didn't look that bad when you see it. But Subban down, looking pretty rough.
I really hope it was precautionary, like that they were like, this guy's our star defenseman. Yeah. We want to take all the precaution in the world. We don't want him to get up and try and skate away, and it'd be worse than what it is.
I sure hope it was all precautionary. He was down for a while, and it did take them a long time to stretch him out, though. It's pretty silent in the Bell Center.
Oh, yeah. And there is a GIF out there that he looks like he's trying to give the thumbs up.
Yeah.
So at least there's that. Like, he at least has got the mindset to give a little bit of a notion to the fans out there that he's okay. And I think he didn't give a full thumbs up because he was strapped down so tightly.
That's the other thing, too. It did look like he was strapped down in so tight for precautionary reasons, and that's why he couldn't give the whole arm up kind of thing.
Yeah, they taped his skates together. They taped his legs together. It was unbelievable. I've never seen that much precaution taken with a player.
Yeah. So, get well soon, PK. We hope you do a lot better. But that's kind of how almost the Habs season has gone. This is Paul, is this the worst collapse in history of the NHL? They were first in the NHL in the first week of December. They lose the MVP, the Vezina winner of the NHL, Carey Price, done for pretty much the whole season. Their top forward, you could say, grinder, energy guy, Gallagher, pretty much on and off, injured all season. I don't know why, again, I've mentioned it probably before, Galchenyuk on the third line for more than half a season. Now look at him. Finally playing on the top line with patches, and he's got, what, like 11 goals in 8 games? I'm not surprised. I've been a Galchenyuk fan since the beginning of day one. I saw him play when he was with Sarnia. He's a great player. I'm shocked that he was playing third line for them for more than half the season. I don't know what's going on with Terry, and I know most Hab fans, they're not happy with him.
Yeah, and Bergevin has backed Therrien and said that there's no way he's going anywhere, and he's stuck with him. And Galchenyuk, he's got the most 2-goal games. He's tied with OV for 7 games. He's scored 2 goals.
He is just lighting it up right now. Probably the hottest player right now in scoring. If he continues this pace, he could still get up into at least the top 10.
Yeah, and they're still not even using him properly. Like on the power play, they had Plekanec in the high slap, like the high one-timer spot.
Like Galchenyuk was in the second power play line more often.
Yeah, like doesn't make any sense. The kid's too talented to hide like this.
Yeah, and now Subban, and it looks like, in my opinion, the Habs won't make the playoffs, so might as well just shut him down for the rest of the season. You don't want to mess with anything, even if it's like a small neck thing, But it's been a rough season. And I again, as a Leaf fan, I shouldn't feel bad, but I really do. I'm not one of those old school Leaf fans which really hate Habs and everything, but I feel bad for them this season. I thought at the beginning of the season, like I said before, they'd be a top contender this year, and they did look like they could have been at the beginning after 2 months. But wow, totally off the rails. This is probably the worst collapse I've ever seen.
Yeah, and the Atlantic Division is just odd. As soon as Montreal lost that top spot, it went to 4 different division leaders now, I think, since then. So, like, since December, mid-December, there's been 4 different guys, and, like, everybody's pretty much had a big lead. Like, Florida had a pretty decent lead, and now they're out of the top spot, and Tampa Bay is finally up there, and Boston had the lead for a little bit, and, like...
It's looking pretty exciting, though.
Yeah.
Like, I know I feel bad for the Habs, but this looks like a 3-way race now for first in this division. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, and if Detroit figures it out, then definitely they could come and make a name for themselves in the Atlantic. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well. Now, I think there's a few, at least one GM that's mentioned that he doesn't want. He thinks that it's not harsh enough penalty, basically, for challenging and losing a review on a coach's challenge. He wants there to be a 2-minute penalty if they lose the challenge. They didn't mention who the GM was, because they're having the GM meetings like on Monday, I believe. So this is odd. That's a bit harsh.
This is a horrible idea.
Yeah. I'd rather them totally cancel the whole coach's challenge than having a 2-minute penalty if you lose the challenge.
Yeah.
Because a delay of game penalty, technically speaking.
Yeah, I don't see how they could pass that, take a penalty for getting a challenge wrong. Like, I can't see that. They got to be able to speed up the process, and that'll fix everything. If they keep the challenge there, they need to speed up the process. Like, that's why they're all so upset, because it really lags the game down, and fans get bored in the arena watching the game. They can't fill that time. Like,
yeah, it's a really long thing. The whole offside thing is what's really killing coaches' challenges. They're winning a lot of them, but they're so often happening. Almost like I see them like almost every game now. There's a coach's challenge for an offside for a goal, and it's like it didn't even happen like 5 seconds ago. It happened might have 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
So a lot of time has passed, and then they're going back and reviewing it, and it's so close. And a lot of coaches are winning. I think it's like at about a 30-something%, which is pretty high to win a coach's challenge.
Yeah.
So it's tough, and I'm surprised they haven't really the whole offside thing. They haven't got to it yet. The NHL, I think they wanted to do something during the All-Star game, but they couldn't get it ready, I guess. And I think they're pushing the date back to getting it ready for next season, which is, in my opinion, that's going to be rough for the playoffs if they're not prepared to handle these offside challenges.
Yeah.
That's going to be rough. The other one that GMs are also looking at that they want the rule changed is head contact, head shots. The main point of contact right now, it's the main or the first point of contact is being the contact to the head. If it's avoidable, it shouldn't be permitted, right? But GMs like Dale Talon, Jarmo Kekalainen, and Kevin Cheveldayoff, they wanted any head contact to be considered a head penalty.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, that's almost most hits in general have some contact with the head. I don't know how it would be avoidable at all for any kind of hit unless they're going low bridge, and you don't want that to happen then. You don't want players to always go for a low bridge and totally take them right off their legs.
Yeah.
So then it's head contact with the ice after he falls down on his head.
Yeah, I can't see that happening either. All these different rules, and I think they're just trying to make rules up. And why change? Like they try and change the game every single year, and it's just stop trying to think you can make it better by doing stuff like this. Like,
yeah, they got to talk about something, and they got to feel that they have to improve the game, which is not bad. I don't mind it. It just, I don't know, sometimes they're taking a lot of physicality out of the game, and I think this could make it even worse if this gets through. I hope it doesn't. But, I know. But it's the game's so fast. The players are so physically dominant. How can you avoid injuries? You can't. They're trying to. But that's the only way is to totally take it out of the game, and then that's half the fun and excitement out of NHL action is the physicality of it, in my opinion. Some people don't want it, though. A lot of people, some people even in the media, they want less physical contact. And obviously, if there is less of it, there's going to be less injuries, yes, but then there might be more fights. Because if they can't play as physical, then random fights will break out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that would probably happen, yeah.
So what's going on with Austin Matthews, Paul?
He's done hockey. He's done playing this year.
Yeah?
His Zurich Lions got beat out by SC Bern. 4 straight swept in the first round. I think they were second seed against the 7th, I believe.
Wow. So, they were playing pretty well.
Yeah, he only had 3 assists in the series, the 4-game series, but he's done. So, is he done, or can he come back and play in the CHL?
You know who's done? It's Mark Crawford. He's done. He should be fired. Getting swept out of the playoffs. Come on.
Yeah, is he going to come back to the NHL?
His team did win last season, right? The Lions won last season, right?
Yes, they did win last season, yeah.
And then they get swept this year. It's pretty crazy. But you can't put it all on Austin Matthews, in my opinion. He's 18 years old, playing with guys that are 30 and older in this pro league. So it's tough to put a lot of him. And you know what? A lot of people are thinking also, would this hurt, him in terms of, being the overall projected to be first overall in the draft? I don't think it should hurt him at all. It's not his fault. And yeah, maybe Puljujarvi and Laine move up a little bit closer to him, but yeah, Matthews, he's got to go first overall.
But what happens if these Finnish kids go and win the Liga with their team and lead their team as an 18-year-old? And they go 2 points per game or even a point and a half per game.
Something pretty crazy. Again, they're kids in a men's league, and yes, it would be pretty amazing if they do something like that. I still don't think them as automatically they're, that much better or closer to Matthews. Matthews is a step above. He was projected to be, top 3 in last year's draft, being slightly younger than, them.
Yeah.
So, with McDavid and Eichel. So, I don't know. They technically they should improve, but you can't. I don't know. I can't see them going ahead of Matthews. His junior availability is kind of interesting, eh?
Yeah, his rights are owned by the Everett Silvertips in the WHL, and I would love to see a scenario where he shows up and plays important hockey for the Everetts.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Or for the Silvertips, sorry, not the Everetts. That's awkward.
Yeah. That's the Silvertips. That would be pretty cool if you can go there and maybe play some playoff games for them. Why not? It'd be kind of odd because he just played with big, huge, physical, 35-year-olds, and now he's going to a league with, there's some guys that could be 17, 16 years old on the Evertips, right?
Yeah, and he could probably dominate.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know if it's possible or if it's even allowed, or I'm not sure.
But I'm with you in the same bandwagon that I would like to see this. I would like to see some Matthews action, going into the playoffs in, CHL hockey. That would be fabulous.
Oh, yeah. That would help out the WHL big time.
Yeah, so. Oh, well. All right, let's move on to suspensions. We're back with it. I know, Paul, you've been waiting for it. You've been hoping to talk about suspensions.
On the edge of my seat, Peter.
So Jared Tenorti, son of Mark, he gets 20 games for, substance abuse. The question is, it obviously was taken when he was a part of the Habs, the Canadiens organization. Did they know about this? Did they trade him intentionally? Because I was always wondering, why would you trade a prospect like Jared Tenorti for a guy who could play on your team, John Scott, as an enforcer only? And now they send him directly into the minors, which is wow. But that's peculiar in my mind. I think that they might have known that this was going on.
The only way we're going to find out, Peter, is the movie. When the movie gets made, Jared Tenorti is going to...
Like, if Mitch Albom, and I've read a couple of his books, Tuesdays with Morrie is a great one if you haven't read it, but this would be cool. I would like to watch this movie, but at the same time, maybe there's some, maybe the NHL's got some people looking into the phone calls.
Yeah, that could be some tampering around here.
But yeah, 20 games, he's going to take it like a man, and he's got it, and fix his game. Hopefully he's back next season playing better. I thought he was going to be a good prospect. Surprised he didn't make it so far. He was trying to get some ice time in the Coyotes, but this is not a good step for him.
No,
it's going to delay his growth.
Yeah, he's going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, so hopefully it gets better for him. One of my guys that I really like on the Avalanche, the captain, Gabriel Landeskog, Landy, gets a 3-game suspension for a cross-check to the head. In my opinion, clean hit. A clean suspension. He hit him right in the head with the stick. You got to give the guy a suspension.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 3 games is fine to me. I don't think he has much of a history, so it's good. 3 games is fine with me. Moving on to the other one, Darnell Nurse with Roman Polak. I'm a little surprised that he gets 3 games for just really instigating a fight. It looked bad, but, and Polak obviously didn't expect it and everything and stuff. But I think it's really cracking down now on, the instigating. We all didn't like the whole 2-minute penalty on instigators, but now they're going to give suspensions on them?
Yeah, I think just because of how malicious it looked when it was in the game. Like, I watched that game Tuesday night, I believe it happened, and the fact that it happened 2 minutes later, so like the game kind of wasn't heated up from that. It kind of died down. They had their power play. As soon as he came out of the box, he was going to the bench. Pretty sure the guy that was taking Polak came off the ice, the guy jumping on was already in play, and Nurse just grabbed Polak and just didn't even ask him to go, didn't even say, let's do this. It was just, I'm grabbing you, beating the crap out of you, and he went directly to the locker room. Like, he knew exactly what he was doing. He just beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, it was pretty bloody. Polak looked fine. He just looked like he was really pissed and obviously didn't expect it coming.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the league's really cracking down and giving a 3-game suspension for it. I would have been fine with even nothing, or 1 game would have been fine, but wow, 3 games. A little shocking. What's more shocking, in my opinion, John Michael Lyles gets nothing. I believe he clotheslined Kucherov. They took him out of the game. I believe he came back later, but that was a clothesline from hell almost from, the Undertaker kind of thing. They were both flying, and he totally threw out his arm, and his elbow basically went right to head contact. No penalty in the game, and no suspension either. I'm shocked. First and foremost, there's got to be a penalty in the game. That was a bad play by Lyles. And again, he has no history, which is fine. Maybe you don't give him such a big suspension, but he's got to get at least one game for this as well. You can't. That's totally a bad hit. A head contact. Main point of contact, in my opinion, was the head.
Yeah, and everybody's got in their mind Darnell Nurse getting suspended for an instigator. So John Michael Lyles does this the next night and nothing.
It's like sometimes it's like they're playing Wheel of Fortune with these suspensions. The NHL just roll it and hopefully it lands on something important, like 1 game, no suspension, 3 games, 5 games. Nobody knows anymore. Almost, it's crazy.
Yeah. This is why I'm not a big fan of talking about suspensions, because it's just so up in the air that I think they just pick a number out of the hat, pretty much.
Yes, Lyles isn't that type of guy, but if he does something like this, in my opinion, you got to suspend him. It's crazy that he doesn't. All right, let's get out of suspensions and into the team ISO. First off, we're team ISOing the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit Red Wings, yeah. You know what, Paul? I had them at the beginning of the year fighting for a wild card spot and losing maybe that spot to a team like the Florida Panthers. That's basically where they stand right now, and I'm a little surprised. They've had a lot of man games lost this season. Guys like Datsuk has been out of the lineup a lot. But Jeff Blashill, you know what, the protege of Mr. Babcock, he's done a great job with this team. I did not see this coming.
No, not at all. But they have that playoff streak that it's something like 22 seasons straight or something ridiculous, and it's not really that shocking that they're once again fighting for a playoff spot. Like they're just a steady, rock solid team.
Yep, they are really, really solid, and he's done a good job for this team.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of the young guys that he pretty much taught how to play the Detroit system in Grand Rapids. So, yeah, he brought up his young guys, and they're fitting into the system awesome. And Dylan Larkin has been a spotlight on this roster.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know what? They've got the aging vets, and they're not nearly as offensive as they used to be with Datsuk and Zetterberg. They've had injuries. He's not so Mr. Pavel, the Magic Man, this year. And even Cronwall is getting up in age. Do you think maybe it's time to pull the trigger a little bit and do a semi-rebuild? Something that Detroit hasn't done since like the early 80s before Yzerman.
I don't think they'll ever be in rebuild mode. Like they have such solid scouting. Like their deep knowledge of like the back end of the draft is remarkable where they find these guys. And like they've said, oh, you'll never find a Datsuk because there's so much better scouting and so much more scouting, but they still just churn out guys from like the bottom rounds. It's crazy.
Yeah, they've done a great job there. But do you think then if they don't do a rebuild, will all those three, Datsuk, Zetterberg, and Cronwell, do you think they're going to finish their careers as Red Wings in the red and white?
I think Zetterberg and Datsuk will. Cronwell, it's up in the air. I think he could move. He might go chasing a cup elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But Datsuk, I can't see going anywhere else.
Both of them, yeah. I think Zetterberg's going to finish his career as a captain of the Red Wings. And Datsuk, same thing. He's going to stay there until he retires.
And this is just what Detroit does. They keep their veterans. They keep them happy. They bring in middle-level young guys like 25-year-old. They never bring in a young kid. Like Dylan Larkin is a phenom for the Detroit Red Wings. Like they never bring in a 19-year-old to play on the team.
Yeah.
Like, ever.
So Larkin is now the best rookie season since, what is it, Zetterberg?
Yeah, maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
So that's how good he is. Is he going to get nominated for the Calder, Paul?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? He's just going to be out because you think what got us be here.
He's really cooled off. Like he's
He
slowed
has
down
lately.
for
Yep.
being the fastest skater. He's slowed down. Not skating wise, but like
A
he's
little oxymoron there.
yeah he's
Yeah.
fallen off a bit. Now that might be the schedule, and this is probably the most games he's ever played in a season.
So
Because
Panarin's number one, right? There's no way you're going to remove him technically, and you think McDavid and
Eichel's making a good name for himself with the Calder. He's playing really good.
It's a pretty good race, actually. We got some good future kids that are playing really well and will be good for years. It looks like.
Oh yeah,
So Larkin's one of them. But the other trio, the next Zetterberg, Datsuk, and Darren Helm, you could say, are Tatar, Nyquist, and Yurko. They haven't really taken the next step. I thought Nyquist would have. With the way he played, was it last year? It was amazing.
yeah, he had a great last year.
Tatar has been pretty good this year, as I like to call tartar sauce. But Yurko, he hasn't taken any really big step yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't put. I don't think he's going to be the next guy.
Yeah, well, like maybe that, Darren Helm kind of role, hopefully, or somewhere in there. So I don't know. I was expecting more from these three, and it's a bit of a delay. You'd hope something more happens, but I guess at least the breakout of Dylan Larkin is really going to help them. Even a guy like Pulkkinen, how good do you think he could be? I think automatically ticks top six forward for sure.
Oh yeah,
but it's still just a wait and see.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Teemu Pulkkinen. He's got a wicked shot. Like it's hard, and he doesn't shoot enough.
Yep.
And another guy I really like that's been just playing unbelievable, and even Pavel Datsuk has pumped his tires, is Andreas Athanasiou.
Yep. The 21-year-old.
Yeah, he's just having a great last couple weeks.
Yeah, he's looked really good. He's a fourth round draft pick too in 2012, but he has tons of speed and great puck control.
Yeah.
So and he looks good.
And if Datsuk's pumping your tires like that, like Datsuk the other day was like he's the fastest guy he's seen or something like that, and he gets to watch Dylan Larkin play. So
yeah, that's weird.
To be able to say that, like that, they got some big top end speed on this team. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be in rebuild mode anytime soon. They do need help on the D. That's their weak point, is their defenseman.
It still is. Yeah, right now it is, and in the future I don't see anybody really filling in there. But they do have some great forwards coming up. Athanasiou Larkin is already at his age. I think he's a great two-way player already too.
Yeah. Well, he's plus 19.
He's great. Like great on ice vision. He's fabulous.
Like Datsuk is probably one of the best two-way players ever, and he's at a plus 8.
Yeah.
For the Red Wings. So like Dylan Larkin's 11 ahead of him. Holy smokes!
And what better to learn from than Pavel Datsuk?
Yeah.
So that's a perfect fit. Another good one, Anthony Mantha. Bit of a mix of a power forward with a 6'4" frame, and he's a great goal scorer with a terrific wrist shot. I think he was drafted 20th overall in 2013, but he's shown what he can do fairly well for even the junior team Canada.
Yeah, and he had a rough, I think it was his final CHL year in the queue. He got injured, but this year 39 points in 53 games for the Griffins. So
nice.
Yeah, he's playing real well. Another kid I really like, I watched win the OHL championship, Tyler Bertuzzi at the Guelph Storm. He's come to the Grand Rapid Griffins, and
he's been there for a while, right?
I think this might be his second year.
Oh, okay.
Because it was two or 3 years ago I watched him with the Guelph Storm, and yeah, he's got a ton of speed too, and just crazy work ethic. Like this guy's going to be a mid-6 level player for sure.
Yeah. And so they've got a few, and I even like, of course, Yevgeny Svechnikov.
Yeah, he's going to be a big-time goal scorer.
Huge goal scorer. He looks for lanes. He finds the pockets that are totally open, and he gets a quick wrist shot off. He's great. And the only thing he really needs to work on is, again, it's going to be his physical game coming into smaller arenas.
Yeah, and he plays in the queue, so there's a lot more goal scoring in the queue. That's for sure. There's not as much rough play and back
Yeah,
to back 70-point seasons. So yeah, he's going
looks
to be
great.
good. Yeah.
All right, Detroit Red Wings look like they have a pretty good team and look like they have a better future. So we'll see what they do.
I want to one more shout out. Joe Hicketts,
Oh, Hicketts.
the World Junior Team Canada free agent signing for
Yep.
the Red Wings.
Yeah.
Nicholas Cronwall asked, I'm pretty sure it was Blashill or it was the GM or it was a scout or something in training camp this past year, if Joe Hicketts was a first round pick. He's like, who's this Joe Hicketts kid? Did we draft him in the first round? And he was a free agent signing, got bypassed in multiple drafts. He's leading the Victoria Royals to the WHL playoffs, which they were not supposed to be a playoff team.
Yeah.
And he's really turned up his gameplay, and yeah, to be a free agent signing, and he's probably going to help that back end in the future. So just wanted to shout
How
out.
good do you think Joe Higgins could be, though? I still don't. I can't see him being a top pairing, but maybe top 4.
Well, he's just so small. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he plays a small man's game, and he's not that like Torrey Krug type player. He's not going to have that offensive ability. He's just really sound with his defense. Like his positioning's really well. Like I think he'll be like a 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on then. Is this the worst Maple Leafs team of all time? What do you think, Paul? Maybe
I think
or yes?
it's tough to decide this late in the season because yeah, the rumors of them tanking and going for the worst or the best draft pick, and they're bringing up all their AHL guys, and their AHL guys are playing really well in the AHL, so it makes sense that they give these guys a chance, and that's why I think they look like they're the worst team ever because they are just a bunch of AHL guys. But
Yeah.
this is what happens when you have a terrible team. Like,
Yeah. I'm going to go into it a bit and say maybe it is, maybe it's not. To me, especially in February, the roster that they were putting out on the ice has got to be one of the worst. It's easy to say for sure this is the worst era in Leafs history. Paul, they have never missed the playoffs in more than 2 straight seasons ever until this era. Just once in 1925 to 1927, that far back, they missed 3 straight seasons. Other than that, they've never missed more than 2 seasons out of the playoffs. Right now, they're on pace to miss, and they will obviously, 10 of the last 11 years not making the playoffs. They made the playoffs during that shortened season, and since then now it's going to be 3 straight missing the playoffs again. Now, when they first started missing the playoffs, it was more of the core talent getting older, Sundin and them, and with no strong talent coming in from the years from poor drafting and poor trades, giving away draft picks like in 2007, a couple of picks for Toskala. I'm going to be talking about this next episode when I talk about the worst 5 trades in the most recent Leafs worst history era. But going on forth, again, it all started with Brian Burke coming into Toronto and making the Phil Kessel trade. That was the beginning of this era's blunder in making that trade. And it hasn't looked good since. It's the team that they're icing right now is because of most of those errors made by Brian Burke. He wanted to do a semi-rebuild, trade a couple picks, get a talent like Phil Kessel. But the problem was Phil Kessel wasn't a leader type to lead the team. He was just a scoring sniper, and he didn't build properly around. He thought when he brought in Phil Kessel, the team was a playoff type team, maybe a contender, by bringing in Beauchemin and Komisarek in the offseason. I knew it as soon as that happened that the Leafs weren't going to make the playoffs, and it was a horrible trade to bring in Kessel. But now, as it stands, the Leafs had a roster in February with Grabner, Holland, and Komarov as their top line. Greening, Arcobello, Parento, Winnick, Spalling, and Boys, Levo, Fraze, and Clune. And on the back end, Riley, Onwick, Gardner, Corrado, Marincin, and Polak. Most contenders, even the Leafs top line, would not even be a third line. I wouldn't expect any of those guys, maybe a Komarov, to be on the third line on, say, the Capitals or the Hawks this year. The only close lineup, in my opinion, would be in 2009, right before when Kessel was brought to Toronto. That would be the closest to being the worst Leafs lineup of all time. Kessel wasn't ready, and the top line was like, say, I believe Ponikarovsky, Stajan, and Blake, and so on and so forth.
So are they the worst team in the ever?
They've got to be. They totally have got to be. The lineup the Leafs have had, and again, a few of them are injuries to JVR, and even then Bozak and a couple of guys, and even Reimer was injured on and off the season. And Reimer had a pretty good. He's having a great season, but he was injured often. So this is easily, in my opinion, the worst Leafs team ever. It's been that bad. But on the bright side, the new organization under President Brendan Shanahan, they look to be moving in the right direction. And some of the moves to get guys in the offseason were because they were borderline NHL players, trying to push them up, hopefully prop them up, and recoup them as picks during the trade deadline, which we did with Winnick, with Polak, and they were hoping to with more guys, but even Spalling. And Parento was in day-to-day injured. He could have also had been moved, and maybe they wanted to, but they couldn't. Teams didn't want a guy that was maybe injured. So the Leafs pretty much are icing the worst lineup, but I'll be telling you how bad they've become now with the worst 5 trades next episode. Paul, do you have any fantasy up and downs for us?
Yeah, do you need to take a break after all that? Holy smokes.
I have so much written down. And actually, folks, if you want more of this, I'll be putting this as my first blog next week on our website, jablamhockey.com.
Nice. Looking forward to that. Awesome. Let's get into some fantasy ups and downs. I'm just going to give you a quick 2 for each. Going to go with a couple of Smiths. Can you name the Smiths, Peter?
Can I name the Smiths? Well, first off, it's Craig Smith.
Yep. 48% owned. In the past 2 weeks, 7 games played. He's ranked 16th in the league. 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points. Playing on Philip Forsberg's line. He's just dynamite right now. So go out and get him if you can. This is going to be one of those guys that you pick up when he's hot, and as soon as he gets cold, then go find the next hottest guy. Like I've been saying past couple weeks, this is the time to just regurgitate these waiver wire picks. You want that one roster spot that you don't want to fall in love with a player. You just want to hold on to him till he goes cold. And one of my downs, when we get to it, is a guy that we picked up earlier in the year, about 3 weeks ago, and we're now going to drop him. But Zach Smith's the other Smith. Okay. This guy's playing really well. 4 goals, 2 assists in the past 7 games for 6 points.
On the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, he's 14% owned, so he's got an even better chance of you getting him. 19 shots in those 7 games, so he's putting up penalty minutes, 12 penalty minutes if that matters in your league. 18 minutes a game, that's pretty good for Zach Smith. He's getting a lot of ice time, and he's playing for a contract right now, so definitely go pick him up. He's hot right now. The downs, too, a couple of guys, I actually spoke about this guy earlier, Nicholas Kronwall. He has gone cold. He's 49% owned. In past 2 weeks, 5 games played, 0 goals, 2 assists, -3. Detroit Red Wings offense has gone stagnant. They just have not been able to score. Luckily, Mrazek has started to find his game again, so they are still keeping their wild card spot and winning games, but they're not. Close. Yeah, they're not blowing teams out right now. So
Flyers are right on their tail.
Yeah. The other guy that we picked up earlier, Jordan Staal, he has fallen off. He's 32% owned. I went and picked him up, and I've went and dropped him already, and I picked up Craig Smith. So yeah, it's a good move. He's only got 1 goal in the past 6 games. no assists for only 1 point, a -5. Everybody thought with Eric Stahl leaving, Jordan Stahl was going to step it up and be that number one guy. He is not a number one center, and I'm probably one of the biggest Jordan Stahl fans, and I will 100% back he's not a number one guy. He might not even be a number two guy.
Wow.
But I'm a huge fan of him. I love the way he plays. He's a beast out on the ice. He's just not a fantasy hockey player. He's not useful in fantasy right now. So
yeah, he's more of a good third line guy.
Yeah, and I really wish he would have stayed with the Penguins. And that might be a little biased, but I am one of the biggest Jordan Stahl fans, and I'm openly saying that he's not. He's definitely not a 1. He could be a 2/3. So yeah, right. Those are my ups and downs, Peter.
All right. We're going a little long in this episode, so we're going to make this one a team ISO of the San Jose Sharks, a quick one. In my opinion, with all the turmoil they've had the last few years, removing Marleau's captaincy, then Thornton's captaincy last year, trying to trade Jumbo Joe and Marleau, I totally figured the Sharks would not make the playoffs this year. They didn't make it last year. I figured maybe they'll get 8th, maybe, 9th, 10th, or 11th. Wow, I totally didn't expect a bounce back year like this. They're in the top 3 right now in their division, and you know what? They could maybe even get 2nd in their division. They're pretty close to the Kings.
See, I kind of thought they would be a number 3 in their division, just because the division is so bad.
I didn't expect the division to be this bad. The way Calgary played last year, I thought maybe they might drop a bit, but I didn't think that they would drop so right at the bottom.
Yeah, they played way over their head last year.
They did, but I didn't expect them to fall this far. In the Canucks, I expected at least a few more wins from each of the teams in their division. I thought maybe Edmonton would step it up, but again, I didn't see McDavid and Yakupov and these guys with a lot of injuries as well. So Clefbaum as well for them. So that's really helped, and the Sharks are in 3rd right now. Why are they in top 3? Well, number 1 is, again, they've got a lot of underrated players in the NHL. When people talk about the best goal scorers, you're talking about Ovechkin, you're talking about Crosby, and you're talking about the guys that are up there right now. You're talking about the Benns and the Sagans, and now Patrick Kane as well. But nobody talks about Little Joe. Little Joe Pavelski. This guy is amazing. I think he's been in top 7 scoring for, this will be 3 years now. He was top 3 2 years ago. But nobody talks about it. Maybe it's because we're on the east side. Is it, Paul?
Yo, definitely. That's just like how Drew Doughty doesn't get as much praise as he should get. These Western Conference teams that we never get to watch, unless you're a diehard that has Rogers Game Center or can stay up late and watch games. Nobody stays up for late games. Like a 10:30 game start, you're up till 1 in the morning watching the final of these games.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of San Jose Sharks. They're the team I go to late at night. I am a Nighthawk. I stay up till 1:32 in the morning at least every night.
Yep.
And these guys are fun to watch. Brent Burns he's a rover out there.
He's another underrated guy that not a lot of people talk about him. Chewbacca.
Yeah, and as much as Erik Karlsson is considered a rover, Brent Burns is by far further of a rover than Karlsson is. Karlsson has much more talent, and he needs to put up more points because of the team he plays on. But Brent Burns is he's all over the ice. He shoots the puck a ton.
We know he didn't get named to Team Canada. Do you think he might get nominated on the final roster? I'll be shocked if he doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
Just first in goals, second in points. I think he was second in points last year as well.
You know what I heard the other day? Put him on the team. You bring 7, right? You bring 7 defensemen. Put him on the team, and he could rover as a forward if you have forward problems.
Yeah, he could be that 7th guy on the ice. That could be forward or defense.
The fact that he can play forward or defense in the NHL is remarkable.
Yeah.
He's second in the league in shots with 285, behind only Alex Ovechkin, which nobody's ever going to catch Alex Ovechkin in shots.
Yeah,
but
he's kind of like today's prime Dustin Byfuglien from 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's great. Do you think he will get nominated for the Norris? No, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
He's a -2. That's not going to help your.
He could have last year maybe, but again, because of Doughty's versatility, Doughty was nominated. So Paul, we have our own season awards. Like we said, we had the Norris for defensive defenseman. If the NHL had the award that we made, the Bobby Orr Award for offensive defenseman, would he get nominated?
Yes, I think he would. I think you'd be there with Carlson and I
It's hard
don't.
to mention who else because Carlson and then Burns and then everybody else is just a step behind them.
Yeah,
Subban's not having a great year. He would have been one of those maybe three, but there's nobody right now. And Klingberg has slightly dropped off now. He's not putting up as many points as he was earlier in the year.
yeah.
But he's got to be nominated for offensive defenseman for sure. And if there was no Carlson, in my opinion, he would win it.
So can the Sharks go deep in the playoffs?
You know what? I still think there's holes. They have a great backhand, a great top four. Again, another underrated guy in Mark-Edward Vlasic, who was called for Team Canada already. I like as his teammates like to call him Pickles. He's so steady back there, silent, smooth, and he's one of those unusual defensive defenseman types that is not so brute and barbaric and physical, but he just plays a good, strong defensive game. The rest of their top four is still solid, with Braun stepping up into the top four, doing a great job, and again, Paul Martin rounding it off nicely. But I'm not too sure about their 5 and 6. That's where they'll be in tough in the playoffs. They could be eaten alive. Pollock's not too fast. If Tennyson comes back into the lineup, he's not that great. So I think that their bottom pairing might hurt them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't see any problems with that. Anaheim
Yeah.
or Kings is probably what they're lined up with, and those
Yep.
those guys are. Uh, I don't think San Jose can beat either of those teams in a 7-game series. So
Yeah, it's tough to say. It was a good job of picking up Reimer because another underrated player, or you could say goaltender, would be Martin Jones. He's like fourth in wins this year. His first year though as a starting goaltender, great save percentage, great goals against average. He's having a great season. He's doing a great job. But again, it was a good move by them getting Reimer, and I think it was a bad trade by the Leafs on that part. They're really only getting, in my opinion, the 4th-round pick. So this is good. Now they've got a steady 1 and 2. If Jones does falter, they have Reimer. But again, I think their depth on defense and forwards might hurt them going into the playoffs. They've got good prospects, and we're going to go right into it. Donskoy is a great rookie. He's having a great, solid season so far in his first year here in the NHL. The right winger, 4th-round pick in 2010. He could fit in that second or third line role already on the team.
yeah, he's playing great hockey right now for the Sharks. So
Yeah,
I don't see him losing his roster spot anytime soon.
yeah. He's got already some highlight reel plays. He's playing pretty well sometimes.
Yeah,
And then, of course, their best prospect is Timo Meier. 9th overall last year. He's great. He's got a good build already for an NHL power forward role. Plays strong, hard, goes to net, and not only making room for himself, he also makes room for his line mates. So he'll be good, and maybe he'll be on the team next year. So the San
yeah,
Jose Sharks do have a few good players, a few good prospects that could be entering.
yeah. So I do my Thursday prospect ramblings for Dauber
Yep.
Prospects, and 2-3 weeks ago, I was going through box scores and stuff, recapping across the CHL like I normally do,
Yep.
and it seemed like every single San Jose Shark prospect was playing unreal. And Timo Meier, 81 points in 49 games.
Wow.
When he got traded to Ruin Noranda, they are now number 1 in the queue, and they could go deep into the playoffs and even make it to the Memorial Cup in Red Deer. And it would be a lot of the reason for Timo Meier. He's going to be a great player. Another guy, Kevin LeBlanc, came out of nowhere. He's leading the OHL with 121 points for the Barrie Colts. He's a 6th-round pick, and he's leading the OHL.
Wow.
He's playing with another San Jose Shark, Dylan Sadaway, who was traded to the Barrie Colts. He's over a point per game pace. 27 points in 24 games when he moved to Barrie at the OHL trade deadline, and he is playing with LeBlanc. So the Sharks gotta love that these guys are already building chemistry in the junior ranks, and they'll probably play I would say a couple seasons in the AHL, and then move up to the Sharks. I don't think they'll jump right into the NHL. They're late round picks, so they'll give them time to develop still.
Mm-hmm. So they've got some really good prospects. I don't know, other than maybe Mir, I don't know if any of them are top line potential. But they've got some good guys who fit in maybe on the third line, second pairing, third pairing defense.
Yeah.
So, prospects look pretty good. All right, let's get into Saturday's picks for March 12th.
We need like an intro song for Saturday's picks. Saturday's picks. I don't know. That was just off the top of my head. Come on, we gotta get excited about Saturday's picks. It's a tight race.
It sounded almost like a country tune you made.
Yeah, a little banjo. It's a tight race. 40 and 41 is my record. 41 and 40 is your record. Coming down to last couple Saturdays. So
mine's a little higher, but whatever. All right.
No, you picked Buffalo a couple weeks.
Like I meant to do that, Paul.
That's what happened.
I even sent the email. It was Kings, and I didn't see it. But anyways,
that's what happens when you go to Dominican Republic and drink too much. So
and then Paul automatically gives me the obvious bad choice. All right, so Islanders and Bruins on Saturday. Paul, who do you have?
I'm taking the Bruins. They are playing really good hockey right now, and I said the Islanders were going to fall off, and not make the playoffs. So I gotta stick with that and take the Bruins.
And I'm gonna stick with the Islanders. I think this one could go to OT. But it's going to be a tough game for sure. But I think the Islanders actually might pull out a tough game in Boston.
Even with Thomas Greiss as the goalie?
It's tough, yes. But Greiss has good numbers.
Oh, he sure does, yeah.
So, like I said, it's going to be a tough one. I could go either way on this one, but I'm going to go with my favorite on this. The Isles keep their position for the playoffs. So I'm going to go with them winning this one.
All right.
Carolina at Buffalo. Carolina's playing pretty well. I'm going to go with Carolina. I still think that they're somehow trying to fight for a playoff spot.
Oh, man. This is going to be a good week to make up some ground on you.
Yeah.
Buffalo Sabres is my pick.
Yep. Why is that, Paul?
I just think they're playing pretty good hockey. They're not winning a lot of games, but they're playing well. Like they just haven't been able to put the puck in the net. So I'm going to go with the Sabres. I don't think Carolina's playing that great of hockey. Haven't really watched them much, but they seem like they should be a basement team, and so should the Sabres. But this is definitely not a game I'm going to watch. That's for sure.
All right, Rangers at Detroit. Who do you have, Paul?
I'm taking the Rangers. Lundqvist is coming back. Nash is reportedly coming back. So yeah, I'm going to take the Rangers.
And I'm going to go with Detroit. They're at home, also trying to keep their playoff lives alive. So I'm going to go with Detroit. Colorado, Winnipeg. I'm going with Colorado. Winnipeg just isn't playing well at home.
Yeah, first time we agree. I'm going with Avalanche as well. They are trying to fight for that wild card spot, so taking the Avalanche.
I think the Avs are a step ahead of the Wild now. So it'll be big with the Wild playing at Montreal also on Saturday. I'm also going to go with the Wild. I'm expecting Minnesota to try to also battle with Colorado for that spot.
Yeah, and if Montreal's missing Subban, yeah, I'm going with Wild as well.
It's going to be a tough game for Montreal, that's for sure. The Leafs at the Capitol in Ottawa. Who do you have, Paul?
At the Capitals? Or at Ottawa? Yeah, okay.
Capital of Canada.
Sorry. Yeah, you had me all confused there. I'm going with Ottawa. I'm not picking Toronto the rest of the year in Saturday's picks. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, you've been saying that for 2 weeks now, and I'm going to go with the same. Toronto, I think they won last game. Wow. Hey, that's good for the future of the kids. They all did it. Hyman, Shashinkov, Nylander, Riley. Boom. They all did a good job, but I don't know if they can put two together, so I'm also going to go with Ottawa.
Is this not the third week they've played in Saturday game against each other?
I'm not too sure, but yeah, I'd expect them to be playing each other a lot. I think most recently was Montreal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyways, Philadelphia at Florida. Florida is just playing too well. Not so great lately, but they're at home, and they're playing good at home. Going to go with Florida.
Yeah, I'm going with the Panthers as well.
Yeah, Philadelphia needs those points, so it could go to overtime, but I'm still going to say go with Florida. St. Louis at Dallas. Who do you have, Paul?
I've got the Blues. Dallas I don't think they win a lot of games Saturday night at home, so I'm going with the Blues for that one.
Dallas is also not playing well recently, but again, another game this weekend. I'm going against the grain, and I'm going to go with the Stars. Nashville at Vancouver. I've got to go with Nashville. They're fighting for their playoff lives.
Yeah, and Vancouver's just not a good team right now.
Yeah, they're
or anytime. They have not been good all season.
Phoenix at Edmonton. I'm going to go with McDavid's team. They're actually a pretty good team at the Rexall.
Yeah, and McDavid's putting the puck in the net, as always, and again, Thursday night, he scored another game-winning goal, so yeah, I'm going with the Oilers as well.
Yeah, they're playing some decent hockey in these games. We got, New Jersey Devils, I believe, at the Kings. The Kings are playing well. I don't know how you can't go with LA on this one.
Well, the Devils just shut out the Sharks on Thursday night, so I'm still going to go with the Kings. The Devils are on their West Coast trip, and I don't think they can sweep the West Coast trip, so they got to lose a game sometime. Yep. So
it's so hard for teams to win those games. They're on a long road trip. They're playing all those games against those West teams, and they're all pretty good now. So
and no Schneider, so.
Yeah, Schneider's pretty good, so I don't know. It's going to be tough, but you got to go with the Kings at home. We're both due. And then the last but not least, that will be a good game. It's the capital for the States, the Washington Capitals at San Jose. I'm going with Ovechkin's team.
Well, I'm going with the Sharks. This is game of the night, definitely.
Yeah, it'll be good. San Jose is playing pretty well right now, and Washington's a huge contender, and of course they're having one of the best seasons of all time in the NHL. So we're going splits. I'm going with Capitals, and you're going with the Sharks. And that's it for this episode.
Yeah, we flew through those Saturday's picks. Go check them out at jablamhockey.com. They're on the right side of the screen, and yeah, that's all I got to say.
Check them out on our website, jablamhockey.com, as well on the Facebook group. We always put our Saturday's picks there. Check that out, and again, our fancy stats and everything are on our website, and some of them are on Facebook. What we've got for next episode, like I already said, I'll be reviewing what I believe is the top 5 worst trades of the current worst era in Maple Leafs history. And we're going to bring back the nickname generator. We're going to team ISO the New York Islanders, and we've got prospect of the week. But also look forward in the future, we will have a new segment called Compare, where me and Paul will argue which player is better. We will be comparing players, especially when it comes to playoffs. When, say, if Washington plays the Penguins in the first round, we will be comparing Ovechkin versus Crosby, per se. That'll be fun. That'll be exciting. So check that out.
Bye.